had my name, but it had Brahmatirtha Prabhu's picture.
I know. Yeah, we told the devotee
so,
who put it together. We told. Yeah, sorry about that.
yeah, well, all Jewish Hare Krishnas look alike. Anyway, I hope I didn't disappoint anyone. Om
No, we
Namo
knew you.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatamrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I believe I hope I got the right verse. Canto 10, chapter 14, verse 56. Is that right?
And 57, yes.
Oh, and 57, okay. Okay, so let us study the word for word. So vastuta means in fact, and janatam means for those who understand. Atra means in this world, and the next one's pretty easy. Krishnam means Krishna. And then stasnu means stationary, like, sta means like madhyama sta, staying in one place. Karishnu is the opposite. It means moving. So it's talking about moving and non-moving living entities. Cha means and. Bhagavat Rupam, that's also pretty easy to understand. The Rupam, the form of Bhagavat, the manifest forms of the personality of Godhead. Akilam means everything. Na means nothing. Anyat means else, or sometimes other, right? Vastu means substance. Iha means here, and Kinchana means at all. So the translation. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's read that again. That's pretty important. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, so if we actually understand Krishna, sees all things, whether they're moving, non-moving, stationary, or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of God. And such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. The purport says that everything exists within Krishna, and Lord Krishna exists within everything. Now, that's enough to go, what? Right? But I would refer you to chapter 9, verse 4 of the Bhagavad Gita to understand that point better. And Krishna ultimately says, Yogam, what is it? Pasyame Yogam Aishwaryam. Just see my mystic opulence. But it's explained there. We won't explain and talk about in class today, but verse 4, 5, and 6 of the 9th chapter explain that nicely. Still, the order of progression is always, and this is important, the order of progression is always from the energetic, that means Krishna, the source of the energy, to the expanded energy. Okay, so it all begins with Krishna, and then Parashya Shaktir Vividhaya Suyate. He has so many different energies. Right? We know material, we could say they summarized as 3: material energy, marginal energy, spiritual energy. Spiritual energy is divided into 3: Ladini, Samvit, Sandini, and other places say 16 energies. But the basic idea is that everything comes from Krishna. And there he is, sometimes eating sweets with his left hand, and hanging out with his cowherd boys friends. So, yeah, Lord Krishna is the original identity from whom all other identities emanate, including our own identity. Okay, so all other identities come from the original identity, Krishna. He is the supreme energetic, again, the source of all energies, from whom all categories and dimensions of energy become manifest. Thus, our personal bodies, our self, then expanded, our family, expand a little more, our friends, more, our nation, our planet, our universe, and then let's speak of innumerable universes, and so on, are all manifestations of the Supreme Lord, who expands himself through his personal potencies. So he expands himself through his energies. Okay. Lord Krishna is certainly the supreme object of our love and attraction. Okay. And other objects such as body, family, and home should be secondary objects of our affection. Moreover, a close analytical study of the actual situation will reveal that even the secondary objects of love are also manifestations of Lord Krishna. So we'll read. So the conclusion is that Lord Krishna is our only friend and object of love. Now, that doesn't mean we hate everybody else. That's not, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Well, the next paragraph talks about this, but the idea again is that Krishna's our love for all living entities, our love for our family, our love for our significant other, our love for other devotees, that the basis of that is the pratishta of that, the basis of that is Krishna. And loving Krishna will only increase our appropriate love for all others. So this isn't like some cold thing that everybody else is secondary objects of love. It's not meant to be a cold thing. It's the warmest thing, because if we have that relationship for Krishna and understand everyone in relationship to Krishna, then those relationships will never be exploitive, but rather they'll actually be loving, because our focus is on loving and pleasing Krishna, and these are all Krishna's parts and parcels. The earth is manifestation of Krishna. I take care of it. Everything emanates in a very positive and loving way when we understand that everything comes from Krishna, and we are endeavoring to love Krishna. So then they quote Prabhupada's Krishna book, and from this verse, and write, thank you for changing my name, whoever did that. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. So whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. That's why devotees are struggling and endeavoring to give credit to Krishna, because they know that, hey, it's, Parusham Nishu, that all whatever ability I have comes from Krishna. So I was thinking about that this morning, that I have to have the right attitude when giving a class, right? I can't be thinking, if I quote this thing and say that joke, then everyone's going to really think that was really cool, and they're going to make sure that they invite Vraj Vihari back to give class or something like that. And I definitely have that tendency. But we have to try to check that tendency and just say, no, I am doing this as a service to the devotees listening. I'm doing this as a service to my soul, because I'm thinking about Krishna. I'm doing this service to Prabhupada and to Krishna ultimately, and be in the mood of seva, and understand that whatever I'm doing, if I do say something good, it's coming from Krishna. So a pauper can be proud of his penny. So we can be proud. We can think, I'm listening so well to class. We can be proud of anything, pretty much. So we all have to check that in our own ways. So let's finish this purport. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna. That could be your meditation for today. The active principle of everything is Krishna. And highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, a highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all moving and non-moving living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within the cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. So what Prabhupada is referring to in Krishna book is this verse. Can you see? When I switch that, I hope you can see that. So this is a well-known verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Stavara Jagamam Deki. So there's that Stavara again, that moving and non-moving that we saw in that verse. Not Deki Tadamurti, Sarvatra Hoy Nija Ishta Deva Spurti. So talking about the great devotee, the Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. So this is obviously super elevated consciousness. And it's also explained in this verse in the 11th canto. The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relationship to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. But let's go back to the CC verse, because I'll just read one paragraph here, because Srila Prabhupada, it's a beautiful purport, which we don't have time to read the whole thing. But Prabhupada so kindly brings this down to our level. So, because like I said, this is a super advanced level, the Uttama Bhagavat. But let's look at this paragraph. Actually, nothing is separate from Krishna. When a devotee, so here he brings it down to something we can do today, if you can see any trees in New York City. When a devotee sees a tree, he knows that the tree is a combination of two energies. So you look at a tree and you say, okay, material and spiritual. The inferior energy, which is material, forms the body of the tree. Okay, I get that. We can do that, right? Look at the tree, okay? However, within the tree is the living entity, the spiritual spark, which is part and parcel of Krishna. We can do that also. We can say, oh yeah, well, he's a living tree, so he's got a soul inside. That makes sense. This is the superior energy of Krishna within this world. Whatever living thing we see is simply a combination of these two energies. When an advanced devotee thinks of these energies, he immediately understands that they are manifestations of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so we see the tree, we see, okay, the outside is material energy, the inside is the spirit soul. And where are they both coming from? Krishna. As soon as we see the sunrise in the morning, we arise and set about doing our morning duties. Similarly, as soon as a devotee sees the energy of the Lord, he immediately remembers Lord Sri Krishna. This is explained in this verse, Savatraha Nija Ishta Deva Spriti. Ishta Deva means your worshipable Lord. So Prabhupada, bringing it down to something that we can relate to, and we can practice that today. So this is the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam wants to introduce us to Krishna, the person. So let me ask you a question. What does it mean if someone is a person? If you could either put in the chat or go off of mute. What does it mean if someone is a person? They're an individual. Thank you, Andrea. What else?
Anything that eats, anything that has babies, that's a person.
Okay, all right. They have feeling. Thank you, Krishna Doya. They have feelings. So Krishna's a person. He's an individual. He has feelings. What else?
They have a personality.
They have a personality. Thank you, William. But it might be They have, and a personality means likes and dislikes.
Desire.
They have desires. Yeah. They have buddhi. They have intelligence. Thank you, Pink Yogi of Harlem. they are spirit in a material body. Yes, if Jumanajaya, if we're not talking about Krishna there, but yes, in general, that's right. So Krishna is a person. I remember reading in Satchidananda Maharaj's book, The Living Name, he said that he had this great epiphany when he understood that the holy name is not an it, the holy name is a he. Holy name is a person that we relate to. So it's and we all kind of know this theoretically, but it's something to really deeply meditate on, that I'm here dealing with this person, Krishna. And that's what, and the Bhagavatam is there to introduce us to that person. Here is Krishna. And you see, Prabhupada, what was his main important cargo when he came on the Jaladuta? It was those first 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, first canto, because those books introduce the world to Krishna. And here we are in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and so many, and all those other 9 cantos are leading us, explaining the material creation, which is coming from Krishna, explaining his different avatars, which may be a little bit more, huge and, godly in that sense. But then there's this boy in the 10th canto that all the 9 cantos helped us understand the most difficult pastimes, the Nara Lila, the human-like form of Krishna. And they're leading us to understand this person of Krishna. And so today we're hearing about, in this verse, about this super high level of bhakti, right? Of seeing Krishna everywhere. And so we could practice this. Okay, Andrea, yes, they could be a they. Just repeating what Maharaj said. I'm looking at you. She said, would the holy names be a they, since also Radha? Yes, Hare Krishna, very good. What was I going to say? Yeah, so we can actually practice this. Let's say you got a sweater for the holidays. Someone gave you a gift of a sweater, right? Or I was with Henry the other day, and he was wearing a new sweater. He forgot to take the tag off. I had to pull the tag off of it, but he was wearing a new sweater to a gathering we were having for the holidays. So if the person was a cheapskate, they bought you a polyester sweater. Okay, so if you got a polyester sweater, you can think, okay, polyester comes from oil. Oil comes from the earth. Krishna is the source of the earth. Krishna is the source of the oil, right? And you can think of Krishna. If you got a wool sweater, well, what the wool came from a sheep. Where did the sheep come from? All the different species of life come from Krishna. And we can think of Krishna even in the gifts we got for the holidays, right? Because Krishna is the source of everything, right? And so this is a practical way to practice the Uttama Bhagavat consciousness. Now, actually seeing the Supreme Lord everywhere. This is, and what else does it say in the Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction? It talks about having no inclination to criticize others. That's also the Uttam Bhagavat consciousness. They have no interest, no inclination to criticize others. That's like, that may be the hardest part. Yeah, seeing Krishna in the polyester, that may be easy. But having no inclination to criticize others, that may be something to work on. And at the same time, what we are recommended to be working on as a interim level between where we may be and the highest level of bhakti is the what's called the Madhyama. Madhyama is literally just simply means middle. And the Madhyama is described, let's see, I think it's this one. Yes, in the 11th canto, as an intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyama Adhikari, offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so this is what we're trying to follow, these 4 things. really, Krishna, I'm trying to love you. And I love this one, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord. Sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord. Shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's focus for a second on a sincere friend to all devotees. So I was, is it? There it is. Okay. I was talking to my son about this some time ago, and we came up with this chart. Hope you can see that. So we, on one level, there's trust, and disruption was the word we came up with. But what we meant by disruption is, disrupting another person, or we, in the old days of ISKCON, chastising, or not the old new days, whatever, that idea of, getting on somebody's case. Okay. So if there's low trust and low disruption, well, you probably don't have much connection with that other devotee, right? Now, what was often happens sometimes, especially in the older days, that there might not have been such high trust, but there was high disruption. Somebody just comes along and just gets on your case. Prabhu, that's totally bogus. Do you know that you just picked that up with your left hand? What kind of nonsense is that? Right? Or your tilak is a little messy, you dog, hog, camel, ass. Right? We had at least in the temple when I joined, we had kind of a chastising kind of thing. Now, we might think that the upper left is kind of really nice, and it is. High trust. The devotees really get along with each other, and we praise one another, and we talk about all the nice qualities and all of that, and that's that is really nice. But there's something that maybe we would consider more, because that can sometimes you can kind of put like a syrupy smile on everyone's face, and I'm okay, you're okay, and everything's fine. But there might be something higher. I would think a real deep friendship is when there's high trust and we are willing to tell our close friend where they can improve in their bhakti, where they can make more advancement, maybe where they're falling short, where they're making some mistakes, and there's a mood that your advancement is that you're going back to Godhead is as important as me going back to Godhead. But because there's high trust, then it just increases the relationship. So I just thought I would, bring that up as maybe one of the highest levels of friendship, when we have so much respect for the other devotee that we get on each other's case. But because the trust is there, it's very different than the person who gets on our case when there's low trust. I hope that makes sense. So that's the how the association of devotees, just like I remember when I was growing up, they used to have these TV ads. What was it? Friends don't let friends drive drunk. Right? Anyone remember that? Maybe I'm too old. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. I remember when I was looking it up today, the first thing that came up on Google was friends don't let friends go to Starbucks. So I don't know where that came from. I think it was an ad for Dunkin' Donuts. But anyway. So that's kind of the point. If you're really a friend and you really have that kind of relationship, then you make sure that if they're starting to walk off the cliff, that you catch them before they do that. And then there's also, introspectively being a friend to ourselves, sort of, if we don't have, kind of some respect for ourselves, and even we could say self-love, we won't have that if we don't think Krishna loves us. So that's a whole nother, talk, right? About, coming to the real firm conviction that Krishna cares about us. And if Krishna loves me, therefore, I should have the same respect for myself that Krishna has for me, that Krishna loves me. I should also take care of myself. And how I take care of myself often shows up in how I treat other people. So I have a question for you to contemplate for a minute or two. If you could give up 3 things of your conditional nature, what would they be? Now, don't put them in the chat because it may be quite personal. But if you could think of 3 things in your conditioned nature, that what would they be? I can actually tell you mine. I mean, there may be worse ones, but I had put, well, I'll give you another 20 seconds to think about it. 3 things.
Okay, I would give up my impatience. Very, just, I react a lot when I.
What do you mean? No, go
Oh.
ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would. Right, the conditioned nature, the human nature, is to react.
All right.
So, I would give that up. I would give up. Let's see. That's like one of the main ones for me.
All right. I had put down multitasking, getting too caught up in some of the negativity that devotees get into, and YouTube. Now the question is, okay, so if you have those 3 in mind, for each of those conditioned parts of your conditioned nature, think of a diametrically opposed behavior, right? So for me, the opposite of multitasking, that's easy, right? Single tasking. So think of the opposite. For me, getting caught up in the negativity that sometimes devotees talk about, mine was remembering Krishna is in control. And the diametrically opposed behavior of YouTube is reading and chanting about Krishna. So do you have those? So think of those 3 diametrically opposed behaviors of the things that you don't want in your conditioned nature. And so our task.
What's the opposite of indecisiveness?
Decisiveness.
Thank you.
I should have said, I'm not sure. Let me think about that. That would have been the joke. Yeah, it means, well, but it could go deeper than that, Prabhu, because you could say indecisive means, you could say, it's hard to say, right? It could be being okay with it, being patient, or it could be saying, like, doing my best and making a firm decision and going for it. Because indecisiveness can really be bad, right? Let's say you're applying for college and you got accepted by Columbia, NYU, and Princeton. And you say, they're all really good, so I'm not going to go to any of them. Right? Anyway, this is a good little exercise we can do. Thinking about our conditioned nature, things that we really would like to give up, and then trying to do the opposite of that. So, I realize that this class kind of meandered around different things, but they are interconnected, right? Because we're hearing in this verse about the great devotees who can see Krishna everywhere, and Prabhupada is bringing it down to in the purport in in where was that? in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, into like more practical life of, the example he gave of a tree. And then, so then bringing that down to the next level down from the Uttama Adhikari, and one of them is making really close friendships with devotees. And in that friendship with devotees, perhaps a really good friend is one who might get on our case a bit, to help us in our bhakti. And then we went into the intrapersonal. Well, what can we do to help ourselves? So that was kind of the progression in this class. So let's see. Gosh, I haven't been following the chat at all, but and don't worry, Henry was not wearing polyester. Tendency to judge and criticize is what doing overly self-critical and procrastinating. Okay, I had you two on my list also. Someone said Yoga Sutras say, when harassed by negative thoughts, cultivate the opposite. Nice. Assertiveness. Okay, so we have a little time for questions, comments, thoughts.
Okay, temple room, we're supposed to give you a priority. Temple room.
Well, while we're waiting, William and Jamunajaya have their hands up.
Okay, Adipusha, we unmuted. Let Jamunajaya speak, followed by William.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for class. So many wonderful thoughts. I just, when early in the class when you were reading, it's, we talk about what a valuable gift it is to give somebody your time and energy, right? We talk about all the time. And then the fact that we are Krishna's energy, that Krishna has given the ultimate thing of like, what did he give us? He gave us his Shakti, he gave us their energy. And that, we speak on a mundane plane, that's the most amazing gift you can give. So that just really struck me, that Krishna loves us so much that he actually is giving us his Shakti, the very thing that he is made of, just because he loves us. So I really appreciated that, as well as this contrast in that Yoga Sutra, that I always think of that when you're thinking about. And I love the Yoga Sutra says, when harassed by negative thoughts, not if. When harassed by negative thoughts, cultivate the opposite. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hello.
Thank you for this wonderful class. I was listening to class, and it's kind of trying to ask Krishna to help me ask the question. So I was on a bus on the way here, and I was listening to class, and this truck driver just like went in front of the bus, like did a turn, and I just shouted out, "Oh my God, how stupid!" Like it was just like a reaction. So I was like, "Oh my Krishna, like did I just call him stupid, or what he did was stupid?" I mean, like my question is, if someone does something stupid, they don't have to be stupid, right? But they're doing something stupid. But the person that they are, it's Krishna. So can we argue with Krishna? Can we have arguments with Krishna? Is it okay to have little arguments with him and not like,
how does arguing with Krishna have to do with the earlier part of the story about the bus or the truck?
My impatience. Trying to work on that.
Well, you actually brought up an important point in communication, which I don't know if you meant to, but the difference between the difference between shame and guilt.
Okay.
Right. Brene Brown talks about this a lot. That guilt is I did something stupid. Shame is I am stupid. And even in our communications with other people, with devotees or whoever, it is important. It's an important distinction to make, and especially if you're a person in authority, you're a parent, or a guru, or an elder in a society. You don't, because sometimes if you say that, you are so dumb, that's like my whole being is dumb. But instead, when you forgot to mail that letter that I asked you to mail, that was really inconsiderate of you. That's more specific. Okay, I should fix. That's something you can fix. You can fix, not putting, windshield wiper fluid in the car, and now it's snowing and you can't see very well. You can pull over and get something, right? But if you're just such an idiot for doing that, I can't really fix my idiocy. It's too vague. So it's just something that came up in your it's a point of communication, actually. But can you get mad at Krishna? Is that your question?
Yeah, sometimes I found myself arguing with him.
What does he say back? We can open our heart up to Krishna and say, Krishna, this is really tough right now. But arguing with Krishna might be for those Uttama Adhikaris Uttama Bhagavats we were talking about, where the not even them, but the Ragatmika devotees, the devotees of Vrindavan. I mean, the eternal devotees. So, but I'd say that we can go up to the deities and say, Krishna, I'm really having a rough time here. Could you please help me? This is really tough. Something like that is okay, but it's the main focus is on the prayers of the acharyas and things like that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Adipurusha Prabhu.
Yeah, William brought up a good point, and Prabhu explained it very nicely that Jesus said, hate the sin, love the sinner. That this is between something inappropriate that somebody does and the person, that we love the person no matter what. But it's not wrong to say, what you did is not good for you or for not pleasing to Krishna. And the idea that he was asking, what would you give up, And myself, I struggle with, like Yudhisthira, Jatashatru, no one is his enemy. Samasabesha Bhutsu, to be equally disposed toward everyone, not just to the gentle and good, but even to those who are not very lovable. The Lord Chaitanya's Pitita Pavana, that he's caring for everyone, the most fallen, and seeing them as part and parcel of Krishna, and trying to please Krishna by reaching out to everyone. Because my tendency is to like the people that treat me nicely and not like the people that are criticizing, so to actually be well-wisher. Jesus said that thing, love your enemy, to actually be able to show affection to and be a well-wisher of anyone, regardless of whether they're ignoring you or criticizing you or praising you or blaming you or whatever. That's an interesting and by nature we are loving beings.
Yeah.
Say, underneath everything, everybody loves everybody. It's just radical. Everything underneath everything. We forget how to express it. We may be responding, in a loving way when we could. But everybody loves everybody. So to be genuine, and Prabhupada said that thing about, if you say you love me, but you don't love this other person, then what you feel toward me is not love. It's something else.
Jesus said something similar.
Unconditional, equally beneficial. We may have to, like Bhima was saying yesterday, somebody made something and we may have to chastise them severely because we care about them.
Thank you. Sarita wrote, so in order to see Krishna everywhere, don't we have to meditate and move beyond our limited thoughts? Yes, because our limited thoughts wouldn't be, I look at that tree. I'm looking at a tree right now at my window. I look at that tree and I see the body created by earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? And the soul is inside that body. I hope it still is because it's winter and doesn't have any leaves. Right. So that would not be my limited normal thoughts. So yes, we have to ultimately we see Shastra Chakshus. We see through the eyes of Shastra. Instead of our normal vision, we put on our Shastra Chakshus. So yes, Sharita, yes. Looks like Bhima Prabhu has his hand up.
Haribol Prabhu, thank you for opening up the class. I love to hear your answers. It's like being in college again with with a nice professor. Anyways, I've found myself taking Christ's words to be like unto a child. Again, it's very easy for me to be like unto a child. Because that childishness is very constitutional with me. But anyways, I understand that in New York, it's tough. It's like what you said at the beginning of the class. If you can find a tree in New York City, people, I really think that devotees should, especially those who are in Fort Apache, the Bronx, so to speak, should get out into nature. And when we just humble ourselves a little bit and readopt that wonder we had as children and understand that every tree has life force in it, that every blade of grass, how the sun, how photosynthesis works, it only takes a little bit of humility to understand that Krishna is at work everywhere at all times, constantly pushing up through the ground and beaming down through the sun. And we are just a tiny little spot in this whole creation. It's simultaneously not humiliating, but humbling, and simultaneously inspiring and awakening ourselves to Krishna's largesse, his generosity, his allowing us to have this world in which to try to play at this game of life. So, when we do adopt that, it really actually just takes a simplicity of vision and simplicity of heart to understand all these so-called esoteric understandings. And that simplicity of heart comes into the letting go of this adult idea that we know things. So that's all I wanted to say. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Professor.
Well, what you said reminded me of something Raghunath said the other day. That it takes if you go out in nature, it takes a lot of faith to be an atheist. You really have to have incredible amount of faith to be an atheist, because it's the opposite is the natural conclusion. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to have your association today, and and Happy New Year. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vraj Vihari Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful class. Everybody enjoyed it. It's very thought-provoking. I'm really curious what was on Adipusha Prabhu's list and Bhima Prabhu's list. Those three things.
You can ask them.
Mine were for real: lust, anger, and greed. Those are the three things. I got them in spades.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vraj Vihari Prabhu. Okay, it's darshan time, Adipusha Prabhu, right? So we can keep the yagya going until it's darshan time. I had a reflection, but I forgot. I forgot. I'll come back with it. Maybe there's a devotee that would like to share something at this point while Bhima Prabhu is going for a swim. Where is our Rich, our poet? Where's Bruce, our philosophical driver? Were you driving that bus that William was on, Bruce Prabhu?
No, I'm driving, heading for a day of skiing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Don't run into any trees on the ski slope, because those trees are Krishna. It'd be very rude of you.
Hug a tree for me, Bhima Prabhu. Hug a tree. Kiss the tree. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, dear devotees. It was wonderful. Vraj Vihari Prabhu's association is very valuable. He's very advanced, and he's been practicing bhakti since the 70s, the late 70s. He joined. He missed Srila Prabhupada by. He saw Srila Prabhupada, but he wasn't initiated by Srila Prabhupada. But he's a very advanced soul, so we're very fortunate to have him. All right. So would anyone like to reflect or share anything before we wrap it up? It sounds so harsh. How can we wrap Srimad Bhagavatam up? Okay, let's do this. Let's bring Srimad Bhagavatam into our real life. Let's apply it. Whether you're on the bus or in the forest, apply Srimad Bhagavatam in your life. Yes. Enough theory. Let's get practical. Let's put it into practice. Hare Krishna. See you again tomorrow.